Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk The Walking Dead comic, issue 158, The Whisper of War, Part 2. Now, this is coming out today, the day I'm posting this video, so if you haven't read it yet, go to your local comic book shop, pick up a copy. Keep in mind, there's also a variant cover. I haven't picked up the variant cover yet. I will by the time you're watching this. I got this issue early, and this is the spoiler-filled review. I did a spoiler-free review, so if you haven't checked that out and you haven't read it yet, check that video out, and then when you read this, either digitally or physical, come back and check out the spoiler review. That's the last warning. Let's get right into this because there's a death in the very beginning. If you do have your comic, open it up and read along with me. First page, Gabriel dies. Well, he doesn't die the first page, but basically he does. He falls off the ladder and he gets his leg stuck and it snaps. And this is what I was talking about in the spoiler-free review where I'm like, already? Like, we already have Gabriel dying right off the bat. Now, this is a character that I enjoy. It's one of those where, okay, we have a character that enters the story, does a little bit, falls in the background, comes back for just a small training montage, and then dies. So I can understand fans who are going to cry foul on that. However, when it comes to a story about just survival and you have a whole community, I don't mind seeing characters that are, weaved in and out throughout the story, and they might not even play a major role. There's certain characters that I disagree. Like if they killed Magna, I will disagree with that. I feel like that character deserves a bigger story because of the circumstances and the way they entered her into the story. So with that being said, Gabriel gets a very, very violent death. Beta guts him, his intestines spill out. They actually fall past him because he's hanging upside down. They spill onto the floor and the blood soaks up in the grass. If you look at those panels, man, that's so cool. You can visualize it just like a movie where the camera's fixed on the grass and a puddle of blood keeps soaking, getting bigger and bigger, and more whispers / walkers are walking through the bloody grass. That's awesome. And then the whispers here munch away on his body, leaving just bones and a little bit of flesh left over. And that's going to be funny later on. Beta says something that contradicts what we just saw. But anyway, next page we flip over and we see one page with a few panels. I was going to count them, I don't know why. But you have the saviors basically telling the survivors, fuck no, we're not getting in this fight. Dwight left us, and as a matter of fact, leave your horse. Now, this is a part of the story in my spoiler-free review. I talked about how I like the idea of a community that has now shit on the survivors during a war. Before we thought maybe it was going to be the kingdom because they had that whatever. So the kingdom theory was a little misleading, or the setup was a little misleading, and I'm loving how it was misleading because now we have the sanctuary who, a little bit more predictable that they would turn, or you know what, not predictable. It fits the story a little bit more believable that they would say, you know what, fuck this. Dwight's gone, we're doing shit how we want to do it. And then we got Rick Grimes actually having the start of a conversation about the radio to Eugene. They don't really get it out yet, but you can see that Eugene's weighing it on his mind. We stop back at the kingdom and we see that the leader... Okay, so William is the one who's the leader for now, because it looks like the other guy, Zachary, is very, very pissed off with William's decision to actually help the survivors. Now, we're going to talk about that in a second. I know it blends in with a panel coming up, but I want to go page by page. Now, let's look at Dwight and Negan here. They have this talk about Sherry being with another guy. Negan does have a point. He's like, come on, Dwight, look at, she shacked up with me for safety, for comfort, for food, for shelter. She took the easy way out. All she had to do was, be available sexually when I wanted, sit around the penthouse, and she chose that life. Like, she did choose that life. That was a choice. I know, again, a lot of people kind of in discussions get the idea that Negan rapes women or forces them. Negan doesn't force them, doesn't rape them. He simply stands here, gives the option that says, hey, if you want to be my wife, I will feed you, clothe you, you just can't cheat on me. That is literally what Negan does. Now, yes, the world of the apocalypse is a scary place, Absolutely, but just because the alternative is fighting in a scary world doesn't make Negan, forcing them into that situation. But I see a debate for him being messed up if you want to look at him. Yeah, absolutely, sure. Call him that. But I refuse to believe that Negan is, putting a gun to a woman's head and forcing himself on her, because in all honesty, when I see those arguments, I feel like it actually takes away from real rape victims. That's a slap in the face. That's a massive slap in the face to actual victims, both in real life and in this story. That's my opinion anyway. So then Negan's like, listen, Dwight, that proves it. She was with me for comfort and safety. She took the easy way out. Once you, put me in a cage, basically, she's off with another dude. She didn't even stick with you. Even with Negan out of the way, Sherry still kicked Dwight to the curb. You know what I mean? Negan has a point, and I love it. Dwight is being a little penis head right now. And then we get this awesome image of walkers with a couple whispers, it looks like, in the background. Yeah, look at that whisper. Man, I love that artwork right there. They come onto the battlefield. Negan doesn't have any weapons. You can see in that one image, I previewed it before. But we have the whispers. They're hiding amongst the walkers, and they're like, we're almost there. That takes some serious balls. They leap out. They start stabbing people. A lot of people are getting stabbed up. Negan finally gets his hand on a gun, and then the battle rages on. Negan even turns to Dwight and he's like, hey, you trust me yet? Not one bullet came your way. And Dwight's like, I don't really have a choice. This is what I was talking about with the Kingdom, though. We see that they are taking a beating. This is a huge, massive herd of walkers with whispers hidden all throughout, and they're jumping out, stabbing people. And then we got the Kingdom who say, we'll hold them back for the Kingdom, and this other guy screams for Ezekiel. Now, I love that, because it's not just about helping the survivors. It's not at all. Imagine how disrespectful that is, knowing that these people, unprovoked, cut off your leader's head. Ezekiel has been leading them since before we even knew Ezekiel in the story. Ezekiel didn't start leading them, once he entered the story. He's been leading them. We don't even really know for how long. What did they go through? How close was the bond between Ezekiel and his community? Let's just say it was a close bond, because he seems like he has a really good community. He seems like he is a very good leader. I know I play around and call him a pussy, but for a leader, he seems like he served his people well. So this is, absolutely respectful. I disagree with Zachary, the guy saying we shouldn't even fight. They killed your leader. You know what I mean? Why shouldn't you fight? So I love that part where the Kingdom rides in and the guy screams for Ezekiel. Because hell yeah, for Ezekiel. He was going off to tell a woman he loves her, and he got his head chopped off. Now we jump back to the hilltop. Maggie, Dante, they're still doing that thing off and on. I'm kind of curious to see where it's going to go. It feels like the Whisperer War is a little too soon to take Dante out, but I'm keeping my eye on that. Now, Lydia does tell Carl, if you see them, because Carl's keeping watch, if you see them, it's already too late. You know what I mean? Because they're just going to take the hilltop out, which has me a little suspect, because even though there was a lot of bodies at the battlefield, it seems like they might have more than that. So you know what? We're going to get to that in a second, because to be honest, by the time I'm done reading part 2, and maybe you guys feel the same, I feel like a lot of the battle is already over. Anyway, moving over to Siddiq, he has a conversation about not getting more men. We jump back to the sanctuary, and they're like, man, you shouldn't have taken his horse. The other guy's like, who gives a shit? They're acknowledging that, if they lose the war, those people might even just come for them. And that idiot's like, screw it, let them come. And he's playing cards. Like, that community's never going to last with a leader like that. So we got a shot, and I love how they're doing this. Normally it'd be a whole page, but since they're packing so much into this story right now, we have Siddiq and them at the hilltop, I'm assuming, right? I'm trying to burn through this. It's going to be a long one, but then we got the sanctuary here. Then we got the Alexandria safe zone here. Then we're at the battlefield down here. You have these 4 different places on one page, and we're seeing just snippets of what's going on, and I love that. Now, this is the part that reminded me of Game of Thrones. Michonne comes charging in on a horse. She's busting off shots with that assault rifle. And Jesus, this is one negative. I know Jesus is a samurai warrior, you know, whatever, but this would never work in the show. This whole angel dive backwards off the horse thing, that's just not happening. But anyway, one nitpick out of the whole comic, hell, that's it. Nothing major. We have Beta looking creepy as hell. Where is he? Right there. See that? Man. And he jumps out, he's killing people. Now, this is funny. He says, you bleed out, you join my army eventually. Just like in Game of Thrones, where if you die as a human, you become one of the whites, you know what I mean? And you join the White Walker army. Anyway, he says, shh, they only eat some of you. Really? Really, Beta? Well, tell that to Gabriel. Because they ate that motherfucker. Anyway, so we have Beta attacking Dwight. Now, I know I was trolling a couple people that when I did the spoiler-free early review, a few people said, Ronnie, what happened? Who died? And I was trolling them, and I said that Dwight died. So, if you were one of the people I said that Dwight died to, sorry, I couldn't resist. Because I wanted you reading it going, oh my god, he's about to die. Yeah, fuck me, I know. And then Negan hits Beta over the head, and he's like, yeah, that's right, it's me. Now get the fuck up off the ground. Second nitpick, second flaw, I think Negan finally pulled a Daryl and talked a little too much. He said, now get the fuck up off the ground so I can put you in it. And I thought that was epic, like epic as fuck. But then it continues, and Negan says, like in a coffin, because you'll be fucking dead after I fucking kill you, you fucking asshole. Yeah, that's Negan, but I just feel like that was so epic if you would have just shortened it. I mean, it would have been like, damn. But this is what I'm saying. You got all that action. I love what they're doing with the mini panels. You know, 16 panel grid per page. And they're blocking some of them together. And it really makes it feel like there's a lot involved, a lot going on. And we have Beta now going to have a face-off with Negan and Dwight. I mean, Dwight's still there on the battlefield. But it's Beta and Negan. And right now, the Beta is the face of the Whisperers. He has to get out of this. I feel like you can't really continue the Battle of the Whisperers for 4 more issues if Beta dies in this fight with Negan. So something has to happen. Something has to either stop the fight or they kill Beta. And again, I don't get it. Because Beta's the face of the Whisperers. At least this is what I feel. But one thing I will say that a few fans and critics, whatever, have talked about the governor dying in the past. And I love that in the story. And I talk about how I understand it's underwhelming because you want one of the heroes to kill the villain. But it came as such a shock, such a surprise. But not only that, when I read that part in the story where one of the governor's own people, a person we barely knew, we just see the person gun someone down, I mean, that's it. And that person gets mad and kills the governor, who was the villain at the time. It felt real. It's hard to explain, but it feels like you read a true story. You ever read a true story where you watch a movie and you have this final showdown between 2 characters, and then you read like the real true story of how it went down, and here these 2 characters had like an argument, and then 10 years later some bum in an alleyway stabbed and killed the one guy, and the other guy went on to be like a cop and all this other bull, and you're like, wait a minute, they changed that for Hollywood because they want the main good guy and the main, or one of the main characters to kill another main character. They want it like that. They don't want no bum to just come out of nowhere and kill the main villain because it's not rewarding as if having the main hero, you know what I mean? So with Beta, I feel like you can't really take him out because then you'll have random Whisperers, you know what I'm saying? And it just won't have that oomph. Like, Beta should be the one to die last in the Whisperer army, or at least his death would signify that the death of the rest of the Whisperers was close, like literally the end of the battle. He dies, and then it was like, we can do this, bam, 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 they're all done, da, da, da. But they might be turning this around and tricking us. If Beta is already coming face to face with Negan, literally fighting to the death at the end of part 2, they have to have something up their sleeve for the next couple parts. And I don't know what can interrupt them just yet, because if they get cut off and they don't actually fight and the Whisperers pull back, or maybe they even make the survivors pull back, it's really interesting. I'm going to dissect this, and I'll be back at you with a prediction video. Tell me what you think. I'm dying to know, because I don't know if it was the excitement of getting this a little bit early, which backfired because I'm waiting longer to get the next issue. So you can laugh at me for that. I don't know if it was the excitement or what, but I love this issue in so many different ways. But I'm curious to hear what you think. Put your thoughts and opinions in that comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.